Give them a range. Probably that is not the best answer for that question. In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how to answer the question, what are your salary expectations? I've been privileged to help several people on how to answer questions in an interview, and the results have been amazing. Chep Kurui sent me an email telling me, "Hello Daniel, thank you for always sharing how to answer questions in an interview. In the beginning of this year, I secured a job and I have been dreaming to be a registry officer, and now I am one. Thank you and be blessed." Without wasting any more time, let's get started. Welcome to Daniel Mutuku Show, where I help professionals become successful in their career. And if this is your first time here, I would like to ask you, please subscribe to my channel, press the bell button so you can get to know each and every time I release a new video. And in this video, I want to share with you how to answer the question, what are your salary expectations? And there is no straight answer to this question. There's some things that you need to consider first before deciding what to say as you respond to this question. The first thing that you need to consider is who is asking this question. Are you being asked by the headhunter, the recruiter, the HR officer, or the hiring manager? All these people have different intentions as to why they would ask you this question. And the second thing that you need to consider is at what stage of the interview are you being asked? Is it right as you start your interview, the first 2-3 minutes? Is it 30 minutes into the interview? Is it interview number 1, number 2, or interview number 3? Once you consider these things, then you might start building up on what to say in response to this question. Again, there are some ground rules that we need to put across on how to answer this question. Ground rule number 1, don't let this question come from you. Always wait the question about the salary to come from the interviewer. When you're the first one to bring in the discussion about salary, it shows that you're greedy and your only focus is the salary and the money and not the job itself. Ground rule number 2, be calm and confident. Don't be anxious or feel uncomfortable discussing about the salary. I know it is a very sensitive topic, and sometimes people feel as if they will offend the person who is interviewing them by discussing about the salary and how much you would want to expect from them. You need to be very assertive and tactful, yet calm and confident. As you get into that interview room, there are 2 tips that I want to share with you straight off the bat. Number 1, as you get inside there, you should know exactly how much do you want to be paid. It might sound like that is very simple, but you will be surprised how many interviewees get into the interview room really expecting this question, and the moment it is asked, they don't know how to answer it. They don't know the exact figure that they are looking for. So have that exact figure in your head what you need. And this figure should be dictated on your value. What is your worth? Do you know how much you should be paid? What is the industry standards? For someone with experience and qualification just like you, how much are they being paid across in the industry? Now, as you get into the interview room again, you should have 2 figures in your head. Don't say them out, yeah? The figure number 1 should be the ideal salary. What is the amount that when you're paid, you will be fully satisfied, you're very happy with it, might be slightly above the industry standard, and still it's a fair figure. And the figure number 2 is the bare minimum figure. This is the amount that you cannot go below. It is below the industry standards for someone with experience and qualification like you. And you're sure that if you're given that figure, anything below that figure, you will not take it. So you should have these 2 figures in your head, but still we have not gotten to a point where you air them out. So you have done your own research. You know how much people are being paid in that industry. You also know what are your expenses, and you know how much you will be very comfortable to live a good life with. Tip number 2, you know your worth, you know how much you should be paid. Then make the company or the interviewer or the person that you're having that interview with realize your worth, your meaningful contribution. What is your worth while you are in that company? What value are you bringing on board? Because this is usually the biggest disparity. You know your worth, you know how much you should be paid, but unfortunately you don't make it very clear, you're not assertive, and you don't make the company or the hiring person realize your value. You should be able to learn how to communicate it so clearly such that by the time you're discussing about the figure in terms of money, there is no doubt about it, you're worth it. You deserve that. Now let's get to the nuts and bolts. How do you answer the question, what is your salary expectation? So scenario number one, if this question is asked by the headhunter, the recruiter, or the HR officer, my advice to you is not to give them a figure, not to give them a range. It might sound evasive, but the intention of the recruiter, of the hiring officer, to ask you this question is just to determine if you are within the range through which the company is willing to pay for that position. And they might kick you out of the interviewing process if you aim too high, or again, if you aim too low, because they base your worth or the value that you're bringing in based on the figure that you say. So it would be uneducated on your side to state a figure. You don't know what is the range, so you might kick yourself out of the interviewing process. So how do you answer the question? I would suggest you answer something like this. Compensation is an important part of the job and I take it seriously. However, I feel like I'm not in the best position to be able to tell you what would be my expected salary at this point. I feel it is too early in the interviewing process and I don't know yet what is the job role, the scope of work, the responsibility, the opportunities in this organization, like career growth opportunities, trading opportunities. And I feel it might be uneducated on my side to give you a figure at this point. And all this information would really add up to help me come up with a more reasonable compensation plan or to give you my expected salary. But I will also want to know for the company, what is the budget that they had for this position? So with that simple answer, you've basically thrown the question back to them to ask them what is it that they had budgeted for this position, and at the same time you've just informed them that you're not really focused about the money at the moment. You just want to see if you're the correct fit person for this position. Are you the qualified candidate? And even when you're the qualified candidate, you are not only basing your compensation based on the money that they pay you. Probably there are opportunities that are in there. There's other benefits and such stuff that would play a part in deciding what is your expected salary. Having done that successfully, you will have created some more curiosity on the headhunter, on the recruiter, and the HR official, just to feel like, let's dig a little bit deeper into this guy's papers and his qualifications so that we see if he's the right fit. Because it would be a great failure on the recruiter, the headhunter, or the HR officer to pass you through the interviewing process to the point where you're being given the job offer and then you reject it. So they are very keen on trying to find the right fit. And so if you don't provide them a figure which they will use it to judge your worth on, so you've just turned the table around to show them that you're focused more on the job, then let them understand your value. The money will come in later. That's the best way to go about it. So what if this question is asked by the hiring manager? And in this case, I'm talking about the person who has the final decision, someone who actually you can be able to negotiate the salary with. His word or her word is the final one. Remember, the recruiter, the headhunter, they are not the final decision maker. They will still forward you to the hiring manager. And if this question comes in way later after doing several interviews with different people, now you are at the final stage of your interview and you have been asked the question by the hiring manager, I would say at this point you can provide a figure, and I don't want you to give a range. A range is not the best way to answer this question. In the past, I have been guilty of advising my clients to give a range, but I have learned that the range doesn't really work very well. Why? For example, you ask, what is your salary expectation? And you give a range. I'll be comfortable if I'm paid between 80,000 and 100,000. What you're thinking about is 100,000. What they had was 80,000. And so you find that even if they give you the bare minimum that you asked for, you still feel shortchanged, as if they did not negotiate, but you're the one who said that figure. So how should you answer? I want you to give a figure. Don't give a figure with a lot of certainty as if it is written on rock, it can't change. Give a figure and let it sound like a range. There's a difference between giving a range and giving a figure and making it sound like a range. Now, when you make it sound like a range, you are giving room for negotiation and you say, I'm willing to play ball. What are you also offering? So it should sound something like this. I'll be very happy if I'm paid on average about 100,000. This is based on my experience, my qualification, and what I'm bringing on board. This is what I'm worth. Key thing, remember I've just talked about on average, I'll be comfortable if I'm paid 100,000. That is making it sound like a range. But after you have stated that figure, you should go ahead and justify that figure. Why is it that you're asking for this figure? Go back to the tip I talked. Make them realize your value. Justify it with your experience. Justify it with your skills. Justify it with what you're bringing on board. Your value, your worth. Not just having a wishful figure. I'll be comfortable if I'm paid 150,000. Why should we pay you 150,000? Answer the question in advance. I'll be very happy if I'm paid on average about 100,000, and this is based on my qualification. I can see you and someone who has a CPA. I'm also coming in with a wealth of experience, having worked in the accounting industry or in the accounting field for the last 10 years, and I'm able to assist you to A, B, C, D. Justify that figure. That is how you go about it, answering the question, what are your salary expectations? If you have any interview question that has been bugging you, you don't know how to answer it, please leave it in the comment. I will go through the comment and I'll be able to create a video to assist you answer any interview question that you would like to know how to answer. Also want to mention, at Career Point Solutions, we provide free CV review. So head over to www.careerpoint.co.ke/CV review. There you will get an opportunity to submit your CV for us for a free review. We'll take a look at it and then we will let you know what are some of the areas that need to be improved so that you can be able to send out that application and get invited for an interview and use these tips to answer questions in an interview and secure that job. So if you found it helpful, leave it in the comment, let me know, like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And until next week, when I'll be sending you another video on how to answer a question in an interview, probably one of the questions that you have posted in the comment, I'll see you then.